This one, I believe, yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then you sent like a video. I think. Right? Yeah, you're the one that emailed it to me. I should have labeled them beforehand. That would have been better. A short process vid. Yeah, I watched it a few times. But I should rewatch it so that I'm reminded of it. I'm just gonna label this. Wait, how do you leave? There you go. And I could tell you're learning from Angel, right? Yeah. I could tell by your process. I was there for a bit. Let me just open up your video. I'll just show it on stream. It was really nice. But there were seeing your process and stuff helped a lot. Cause I see like the reasons why you made decisions and stuff. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, I just gotta read lesson 1. That's good. That was like learning the lane and whatnot. I would say though, try not to limit yourself to the like. Don't restrain yourself to just doing the exercises that he says to do. A lot of people fall into that trap and just like get perpetually stuck. Always try to learn from many resources and whatnot. But it seems like you already have a decent enough understanding of like overall painting to not fall into that. So, because you already had some prior experience. A lot of people just come in like learning, pretty much not knowing how to paint at all, and just learning from him immediately. He does like promote it as like kind of a beginner's thing, but I would probably recommend it to someone that is a little bit more experienced, like yourself. Like I wouldn't, it wouldn't be my first stop to thing. Anyway, just watch it in full. You see, your process is all right. Yeah, here was kind of like small details and stuff. But what I would say, I know like he asked for you like this, like in the first stages and stuff, and then the planes ahead, and whatnot. It's okay. I would say to what's that? How do I explain? To kind of create a nice line art to draw under or to paint under. Like you go from the planes into this. Like what I would personally do is like I'll use like this kind of brush. So let's say this is like your face drawing. Or your planes that you already laid out and stuff. Right? So you mapped it out like with this very, I don't know how to explain it, like very bold lines, like kind of how you had it. Like here, like it's very, I don't know. It's very clear, like of everything, which is good for like studying and stuff. But if you're gonna paint it in, I would say like just try to knock back the the inner planes and stuff. It helps to have them there, obviously, but I would say knock them back, just so that you could have a clear sense of what you're seeing and stuff. And then I noticed that you didn't have a lot of hue variation right here. So you kind of just had your light color and then your shadow colors, which is okay, but you need like variation in your colors, because the human face, what makes it feel so human is the blood and the little changes in your skin tone. It's not all just one like color. There's always changes. So here you kind of like had a little bit. I know in the reference there wasn't a lot. Actually, let me pull that up. Whoa. Wait, did you email me the reference? I'm pretty sure you did. Yeah. Let me just download it. There you go. I could just paste it in here. It's fine. If I could do anything, Jesus. Okay. Okay. So like, I know there's not a lot of like variation, but there are little subtle ones that you kind of have there. But it's always better to push things a little bit. And then also, okay, I'll just get to the other part I want to talk about when we get there. Okay, I'll just overpaint it. No. So your structure is okay, but okay, let's add in that thing I was talking about, because your colors are kind of muddy and kind of, I don't know, kind of lifeless. It's kind of hover around the same hue. So I'll just take some red, saturated red, or oranges. Kind of take an airbrush and kind of inject it a little bit in areas where there'd be a little bit more. What's that? More blood. So learning color zones of the face are very important. Right now I'm kind of ruining the values and stuff, but that's okay for now. And I think it could be more red. It's a little orange. Ideally, you would get these in earlier before you start putting in like certain values and stuff, but it's alright. You can do it now. So I want to put this into our pure ref. Yeah, cool. And then we can just get rid of this one. It's fine. Because I'm doing it really late, and this is gonna be a lot of fixing to do and stuff, and that's kind of just annoying. Because you're just painting something away, and then you're just gonna have to put it back later. But if you put this in early, it's okay. And then also another thing is that your edges are all the same. So how do I explain? So look at this edge right here. Okay, I don't know why I switched, but look at this edge like right here, and then look at this edge, look at this edge, this edge. They're all the same. You need to think of edges like a spectrum, kind of like how you have values. This is something I showed someone else and they said it helped a lot, so I'm once again doing it. Try to think of it as a spectrum, kind of like values, right? So you know how you have values, you have complete black, and then it goes to white, right? And it ends like this. Whatever. Yeah, there's white, and it goes back. You need to think of edges like that. So what do I mean? So let's say you have your hardest type of edge right here. Let's say you have hard from pure black to white. There's no harder edge you can create like that. And let's say somewhere in the middle, you kind of have a firm edge, right? So it's kind of like this. You have something like that. And then here you have a lost edge, right? It's almost like you can't tell the different, like you don't know where it goes from, certainly from white into black. Like you just don't know because it's just so soft. Here, yeah, he does have that. More of a, like all the edges are kind of the same, but it's your job as an artist to recognize where are the places that are gonna have softer edges and the places that are going to have harder edges, and you need to kind of separate them, kind of like what you do with values. This is why I think values is a really good example or way to show things. So let's say you have, let's say in a spherical thing, in a ball, you kind of have the contrast kind of like this. So let's say the value is like right here and right here, right? So this is your shadow, this is your light value. If you were to push them apart, so let's say they end up here and here, this is gonna like over exaggerated, but it's just good for my point. It would be something more like this, right? Something with more interest. If you were to take, let's say you see this edge on his face from his cheek to the background, it's very hard. And then here from this cheek to the light, it's firm. It's almost like this is the first one I mentioned, and this is the second one I mentioned. But what you could do is push them apart. You could push it further. You can't really get harder than this, obviously, but you could also make that second part even softer. But don't overdo it. Controlling your edges is just like controlling your values. You need to be able to mainly just use your eyes to test how to like organize everything. So let me just show you what I mean. That's a lot of talking for a very visual thing to do. little bit more hue variation here. So I'm kind of just taking color. So let me just fix up your values a little bit first. I'm trying to separate that light to dark. It can mainly be seen right here. This would be a good area to show an example. So let's say, okay, we have a form shadow where it just goes from light to dark because one side's facing away and the other side's facing the light, so that could be soft. Like look at how do you head here. This is a cast shadow. It's always going to be hard unless the cast shadow is just like from something really far away. But right here it's literally like not even an inch away, so the cast is going to be very hard. You almost have it the same as what's over here. Yeah, you got a little bit of a transition, but the main part is like super hard and stiff. You can blend that together. And right here you have a form shadow as well. And that already has a little bit more interest because there's contrast. The same way there's contrast in values, there's also contrast in edges, and you could use that to your advantage. Also, yeah, I'll just mention that later. And like right here, you have a form shadow of the nose of the glabella, I think it's called. It's all hard. It's all the same. Like imagine you're just like playing the piano and you're just smashing the same key every time. You need to vary it. It needs to change. It kind of makes things stiff and kind of, I don't know, kind of boring. Not saying your painting is boring. I think it's really good. You just need a little bit more of a push in the right direction. So yeah, that's overall one of the bigger things here. Noses you could think of as like a cylinder. At least the bridge part. Ooh, I didn't save the before. It's okay. Just take the image and copy and paste it. Oh, that's not how I want to do it. It's okay. You had a lot more texture, so let's try to use a similar brush that you used. Also your nose here could use some work. Structure wise, I'll explain in a bit. The mistakes that I see. So one of the main things I'm trying to do right here. So you could think of the face almost like a cylinder. I feel like you're just looking at the ref and just trying to copy the values. What you could do is this. Kind of just imagine this was his face. There'd be a shadow here, and things kind of just they overall just follow the form of the thing. And then there's a little bit of reflected light. It's hard to tell, like, is this like form that's just being lit a little bit, or is it something else? But I would like to think of it as like a reflected light that could be added in later, so it'll be something like this. It might be form light. Maybe it is, but maybe something. But that's how I like to think of it. At least in this scenario. Different scenarios might lead to something else, but also I could tell your brushwork, you're getting really fine and small. Try to get things in like one go. Like instead of like using a really small brush to fill things in, try to get it with the biggest brushes you can possible. That helps clean up your painting technique and stuff. Makes things from looking too unorganized. And by the way, if you have any questions, you could always ask. 'Cause sometimes I feel like I'm not making any sense. So okay, let's work on the nose. So your mouth is okay. I really like your mouth. It's okay. Your nose and eyes could use some more clarification in like the forms. I could tell that you have a little bit of a misunderstanding. Can you tell the things that I actually did? Yeah, I mean, I could see it because I've done it before too, and I ironed out the little mistakes and stuff. Like, you could tell from like I could literally see, I could almost count the brush strokes that are over here. Okay, so nose. How do I explain? It seems like you got a decent understanding, a good start, but you're thinking as the nostrils as its own thing. It's not. Like I could tell you're like, oh, the nose, there's a dark spot right here, so let me add in that dark spot, like the holes, and then let me just paint around it. No, that's not how it works. You need to understand the things around it, like the form that is creating that darkness first, and then you can start focusing in on the little shapes and stuff. Yeah. I'm getting confused with my layers. Jesus. Okay. And what are those forms? So on the nose, for him, right? It kind of comes around. It's like a bulbous form here. So I can tell you kind of got it. Just a little bit. This thing here, here, here. And then there's a part that kind of like comes out and around. So what I like to think about it as is like it's almost like a sphere, right? And then it has like things that just come out. So you kind of just enclose it and create that natural part. A lot of people try to like, they try to nail this shape that's created instead of trying to getting the things around it. And that's not really the best way to go about it. Also, what helps me a lot is this rhythm right here. That's almost S rhythm. I think I got this from Michael Bucci. Where the nostril kind of like, here's the tip, like the very edge. And then there's like an S, like here, an S. Kind of like that. So let me try to clean that up for you. Here I see that you tried to get this part, but for now you could just simplify it. It's okay. Okay, now it kind of looks weird with that. Let's put it back. It's not as harsh as you think it is. It's basically just like that. And you're missing a lot of red in the nose. Think of the nose. It's like it's almost any light that passes through it, you're gonna be able to see the blood under. So I'll take some of this red. Gonna just inject it in there. Oh, you can see it. Here it's like redder. This comes out lower. So I'm not thinking about that hole. I'm thinking about the forms that's creating it. And here you're kind of thinking of it as something that just like is super flat. Frick. Okay, let's go back here. That's super flat. But really there's overlap right here. It's not just going straight. It's overlap. You can see it here. You can see how his nose tucks under itself. You need to capture that. Sometimes you get away with not even drawing any nostrils. Whatever, I'll fix that later. So I'm kind of just separating the shapes right now. And finding my value and finding this part that tucks under. So you need to think about it like this. There's a cast shadow coming from the nose, right? And then here there's like ambient light lighting the face, or reflected light from somewhere. Okay, this is really bugging me. I need to at least take this part out. Again, with that cylindrical form of the nose, there's a highlight right here. Right, goes all the way across, but I like to cut it up because that's just kind of weird, having a whole thing like that. Now I like to think of this like small area over here as like almost a sphere, like I mentioned earlier. Take some of that red for the hue variation that I added in earlier. I like to put it in between for my transitions. Okay, now my edges are kind of looking the same. So let's spice it up a little bit there. So yeah. So what I would recommend is try to enhance your understanding of the nose instead of having, because you got a good start, but it's just things that could be improved. Could be darker right here. Here I would soften up the edges. See how like I'm just adding more different types of edges here. Also the edges of the entire thing could be blurred out just a little bit, because you're not really looking at them. So they're almost like out of focus. I know they're not like that in the reference, but it's good to do it. And a little bit of sharpness back. Also, something I've noticed is that your hue variation in your shadows, that's what I wanted to talk about earlier, is it goes from almost warm to warm again. In this one, you can see how it goes from kind of a strong bright, like yellowish, almost. It's kind of a colder yellow, but still. It goes from warm to cold. It's always good to switch it up, because as light leaves, it changes. So it's always relative to each other. A lot of people think, oh, it's you want a warm light in a cold shadow, so they're gonna make it super warm and super cold, and it goes straight up blue, and it just doesn't work. So it has to be subtle. So I'll shift your overall hues. And notice how I didn't do this earlier because you need to prioritize your values first. I just try to find the right value and then put it in. And I kind of just, because you can always change your colors later, it's okay. Here, I'll just brighten it up. Just to separate the light and shadow more. Maybe now it's too bright. That's okay. And there's a soft edge here. Just going around the eye. The edge is a bit harder. That's okay. It's a little bit too bright. Can always knock it back. Just a little bit. So I'm really trying to think of my shape. What shape does this thing create? And try to design it for it to work for you. Let's go back on the nose because I just think I kind of left it undone. Reflected light. That looks terrible actually, Jesus Christ. Made it too big. And here. More separation between the light and dark. Ooh. I'm kinda getting all over the place with this nose, jeez. Not exactly my best. Sometimes you could just knock it back, kind of soften because it's in shadow. You could always choose to show less or show more in whether it is light or shadow. So you could choose to do more in the light or more in the shadow, more detail in the light. That's what I mean. And in your eyes, it's also structural. It's kind of flat. So what I would do, or kind of what you have right now, yours is kind of just like going straight down. So it's kind of like you stuck a sticker onto their face. There needs to be form. Obviously you tried to paint that in, but it could be better, right? So you need to understand it comes in, out, and then there's this lip right here. You're kind of missing that like almost entirely. You kind of have a small indication of it, but it's really thick. It's thicker than you expect it to be. And it's always better to over-exaggerate than it is to not show it at all. So something like that. So it kind of comes out from the lip here. And it catches this light. Here. I'm showing that under eyelid a bit more. And here you could have a lot more hue variation in the eye. So that's more reds. And I would kind of take this, so like to, because the eyelid and the eyeball are like literally touching. I'll get really dark right here and create more of an ambient shadow, or ambient occlusion, I mean. Again, it's always harder to add in the hue variation later than it is to do it earlier. Let's see. Change up the hue, because the eyes are almost always warm, because there's a lot of blood flowing through them. Gotta make sure to show that. And here would be darker. These dark accents around the eyes always help a lot. Always try to design your shapes. Pop out that highlight, and then I'll soften the edges of the iris. It just helps things to feel a bit more real. Because if you just have that hard edge going across the iris, it kind of feels stale and kind of lifeless. So you gotta add a little bit of interest. Because it's not all the time you're focusing in on the eye. And when things are out of focus, they're kind of blurrier. So you're kind of replicating that. And then it kind of goes deep in here. And then reflected light right here. This is why this shadow is a bit lighter, like overall. Not because it's catching more direct light. It's because there's a lot more things to have the light reflect back onto. Also, I think the eyes are a little bit too small. Let's actually fix that. I should have zoomed in too much. I'm spending a long time on this one. I'll speed it up. I'm gonna quickly explain. Yeah, I'll work on my more normal speed. So here's the same thing. I'm just gonna kind of replicate what I did over here, just on the other eye, but more in shadow. So the ambient inclusion here. Remember in shadows that majority of the edges are always gonna be harder. Well, not harder. I mean softer. Definitely not harder. Softer. Anything that happens in the transition is always gonna be softer. And it's good to show that. Oh, that does not look good. Find the transition here. Oy. Okay. I think I went a little overboard right here, so kind of. Not gonna lie, it's not my best work, but it's more just the points that I get across. Here there's gonna be ambient occlusion that you kind of missed out on. Because the hair and head is almost touching. Hi Onyx. Yeah, I'm just critiquing. So it's not really mine, I guess, but yeah, it was a really good painting before. Also tried to design these eyebrows a little bit better. Here you kind of just had like rectangles. I tried to add a little bit of interest because it helps. And then the edges between them are soft. Instead of just having like these, like, try to not to think of things as like stickers on something, or like, oh, an eye, it's supposed to be here, a nose is supposed to be here. Try to think of like the head as its own single thing, instead of going, oh, now I gotta paint the eye, now I gotta paint the forehead, now I gotta try to relate each feature and each thing to each other. And how is it like one form? Think of like a sculpture. Like you wouldn't. I mean, I guess you kind of would. Yeah, how can I explain this? Try to think as things not as what you think they are, but as the three-dimensional forms that are there. This is why studying the forms are very important. I didn't do a very good job of changing the hue of the shadows. So what I like to do is kind of just go knit it and then tone. I kind of just go adjust the. That was not the thing to do. Kind of adjust the shadows into a cooler realm. That is not what I wanted to do. See this? Okay, last two things before I get just carried away. So the scarf here, I could see you're trying to emulate what you're seeing in here, but you need to compress your shapes and then add the small details and stuff. So here you kind of flattened it out by adding all these little like striations, I guess, but that's more of like a anatomy term. So try to find the overall form first and try to design your shapes around that instead of trying to get the small little details first. So like this form here. Try to, and with your brushstrokes, try to follow the direction of whatever you're painting, like the form of the painting. It helps a lot. And then after, when you're done with that, that's when you add to all the other stuff. And besides, like, the scarf isn't like a main point of the entire painting. I know it's easy to get like carried away with all the little details you can put in, but you need to know when to regulate it. Yeah, it was taking away too much attention. It had more detail from the face, so you would have to try to knock it back a bit. And I think the value of the background is now way too dark. It's kind of blending in. I kind of just go like this and fade out. Again, I don't want to spend too much time, but I'm already almost done, so it's okay. Like, I could do a better job, but I just want to get to the next people because I don't want them to feel like I'm just spending more time on someone else. Okay, last thing. See, your this hair light was a really good chance to design a nice shape, but you kind of missed out with kind of just like, I don't know, by just kind of, I don't know, underdoing it and having it half baked almost. Whether that's like a lack of not knowing, like having enough experience, but you need to be able to design the shapes. I'm thinking big, medium, small. And notice how I'm not working in like small. You need to think big first, like think big in big overall things, and then kind of hunker down and find those smaller details. So I'm kind of just like clarifying what you already had here first. So yeah, I'm trying to find the form and what it's doing. I'm trying to add interest. Like you see, like here, what you had, you kind of have like this shape, which is okay, but you see how there's not a lot of like it's an alright start, but there's not enough variation and change. Same with this one. So I'm just trying to design it a bit better. Yeah, to be honest, I don't really have that much experience. This is my second portrait. I'm still pretty new to art in general. Oh, you're pretty new to art? This is pretty good if you're just starting out. It's like really good. I'm very impressed. When I started, I sucked. Jesus, man. Yeah, definitely not beginner's work. For sure. Yeah, as long as you keep to it, it should be good. I've been doing this for like years. So. You're doing a really good job. Try to if you're like new, I would recommend trying to practice really good shapes and getting good shape language, and trying to find artists that you really like and that speak to you. So I would for getting started with like shapes and stuff, here are a few people I recommend. I just need an excuse to show this guy. Freaking hell. I'm pretty sure you might have heard of him. But this person's shapes are so clear and so nice, so nicely done. Freaking line decker, this is like my favorite situation. This one. Like the shapes in what the frick? Okay, this is like like 2 pixels. Yeah. This one. You see how nicely his shapes are designed and so nicely organized, and they're so clear. It's very simple, like very cut out and so nicely designed that the simple feels very complex. But if you were to like extract, let's take one of these here. Frick. I know it'd be fast, but freaking hell, I just want to talk about this. Like if you were to take this shape of this part right here of the shadow shape, come out to something kind of like this. Overall, just condense it And then you have a few like things coming out here. But they're all very well designed and communicate exactly what you need as efficiently as possible. There's not a lot of like, oh, small things, kind of like this and that. And they're like, oh, they're all kind of the same. If you notice that this one shadow is all one thing, at least one value and one shape. Yeah, he has like these little things. So that's kind of like a line decker. Like you can see his paint strokes. They're not like all the way filled in. Looks really good, but I don't know if I could pull that off. But this is all just like one thing. And they're all designed very nicely. So I try to get that for myself. But you don't need to be like a line decker. There's also TV Choi. She has a very different type of shape language. It's all the same like idea of like shapes and trying to design them to how you want. And it's up to you to choose like who are you gonna emulate and who you're gonna try to apply to your own stuff. Like this person, I take a lot of inspiration for like my own drawings and stuff, TV Choi stuff. Like what kind of shapes did she use? Like here, I'm like if I were to try to emulate someone like Line Deck here, of course it's not just TV Choi I'm taking from, but they'd kind of be more like he uses a lot more squarish and more triangular stuff, right? Maybe something more like this, but that's not what I want. Exactly. So I've noticed that TV Choi likes to use a lot more curves and a lot more circles, like circular, rounder things, and then she tries to mix it in with more triangular stuff. So just try to find people that you really like and try to study like how do their works feel and what is affecting those feelings that you're getting, whether it's the shapes, the edges. It's like music. They could provoke feeling, and different instruments and different ways to play those instruments change the feeling. So yes, here, and then I'll take in a bright light, like highlight almost. Always try to work from big to small, because if you start off way too small, you're gonna end up tunnel visioning and kind of losing track of what you're doing and stuff. I like to work from very big, and then I kind of hunker down and try to find those more minute, like smaller details. And again, yeah, for someone that just started, that's really good, dude. You could add the reflected light that's in here, but I think it's best not to. A little bit of the light will be catching right here, but because it's already so dark and it's not really the main focus of your thing, it's okay. You could leave it out. I'll take away too much attention from the face. So try to have always a focus. And try to do your best to make sure everything is like pushing to show that. So it's like when you're in a classroom, if everyone's talking, the freaking teacher will be annoyed, and because no one will be able to pay attention to her. But everyone's like quiet and kind of like doing their best to make sure everyone's paying attention to what's important. It'll help a lot. Okay, I don't want to spend more time on this. I've been saying this forever. But yeah. Hopefully that's helpful. I don't know how much sense I was making. This for area could work. Use work, but it's okay. I kind of lost the teeth here. Let's actually. Okay. Yeah, whatever. I can work on it more, but I don't want to. So. That was extremely helpful. I'm glad it was. I'm glad it was. I'm glad it was. Okay. There was that. Okay. And let's work on other people. So yeah, if I were to summarize, overall, try to focus on your hue variations for your colors. Not everything is just this color, darker or lighter, or red, and there's a highlight that just gets brighter. No, you need to move this around, and I would recommend trying to understand that understand the color wheel and how all the colors are related. So like for example, this red, if I were just to keep it here and just keep desaturating, it would actually pop up towards green and go back. Like if you can start to understand that and like how the wheel starts to how it all relates to itself. I know I'm using like a slider. Let's see if I can change it. Or let's just search up. So you can find something useful. Like here, like this all goes from red, and it hits gray and comes out the other side as green. It's one of those few things, so you can more control what you're doing. So work on that, and then structural stuff that will come with time. Just keep studying, and there's a lot of things I learned. I'll do my best to apply them. Yeah, that's good. So yeah, try to start to refine your understanding of form and your shapes, and trying to design them. It's always nice to have more direction, rather than, because art could be so overwhelming sometimes, where it's like, oh, what the hell do I learn? There's so much. But you know, hopefully, again, that was helpful. The shapes in the hair look really cool. Thanks. Again, I could spend more time, but I don't feel like spending more. I spent a long time. Yeah, I was taking some notes. That's good. And notice how it's not exactly like the reference, but it's still a painting. let's not close that. Anyway, okay. I don't know if they're here or not, but I actually think all y'all are from Angel. I'm pretty sure. 100% sure. Okay. I know this person sent me a reference. I should find it. Thanks a lot for your time. No problem. I enjoy doing this, so I don't really mind at all. And I think this is Kriyamala art. I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah. I just sent it to myself. Okay. Let's not do it like that. Yeah, I know those. Okay, let me think. Okay. I would say the most glaring thing to me is just a little bit of like proportional stuff and overall form. The colors are kind of grayish. So you kind of have a similar problem as the last person of like trying to find the right colors. Gray doesn't always mean bad though. Here it's kind of, how to explain, it's kind of muddy, right? Because your transitions, they're all kind of all over the place. So let's actually try to fix up the proportional mistakes first. Here, the mouth. Kind of big. Then the nose. I don't have like fine clips, so I have to live with that. Is it possible that? Yeah, sure. I will do that after this stream. Thanks. No problem. No problem. So if you like, if your colors are being kind of lifeless, what I like to do, I kind kind of what I did for the last person. I can just play with the tone curve. Frick, actually. Essentially. That's a little better. What I like to do, I just kind of like mess around with like tone curve and whatever, like, and just kind of play around with it. Add some warmth. Just to like help play with the colors a little bit. This kind of unified everything, but now everything is a little bit too red, but I could always paint that back in. Or paint some of that out, I mean. So I kind of go here. Shift things more yellow for the light. Because it's very warm. Warm light always pushes more towards yellow. The brighter it gets, or more strong. Let's not use that. Structure of the nose is okay, but again, it could use some work. Like here, you'll be hitting the side of the septum. You have to know that things have form. Overall, have a very what's that? Are a lot thicker than you would expect. Okay, the reason why I'm adding like this more of a, what's that? Almost like a highlight going across all the way down. So if we go back to that cylinder analogy, let's use black. That cylinder, frick. Kind of gets linked from here to like kind of gray. Transition. There's like a highlight. It goes all the way across and down. Right? That's kind of that. And then reflect the light and stuff. And also, I could tell your shadow values are kind of inconsistent. Like, look how dark you put this shadow for. This is like correct. And look at over here. You need to unify everything. Some fella follow. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So you kind of have like this value. This is like correct value, right? But you need to make sure your lights and darks are far apart. You need a clear separation, and then when you have that clear distinction, that's when you can start adding the little variations and small details. So don't be afraid to get things too dark. Oh, so I'm just gonna kind of separate the lights from the darks here. See this? Like you see this value here for the light? It's really close to what you have here in the dark. So try to unify them. So I'm just gonna separate them here. Try to unify your values. I forgot who said it, but all you need to show three-dimensional form are two values. So I would start like something like this. This is also a good chance to design your shapes and stuff. I think Cynics has a good video on this, like better shadows or something, where you focus on the distillation of it, and then he goes in and refines things. I like this highlight you put here. Because now that I have this, you could kind of, then you could add all your reflected light and stuff. Notice I'm only using one color. That's all you really need. Later on, that's when you add the different hues. After this, like right after this, after you distill everything. It's right here. And then I'm gonna find my edges. Here it's gonna be hard. This nose should be like all this is in shadow. Find it. Find where it terminates, and you can work on your edges from there. Little divot that would catch light here. And notice how you're using like almost like a white for your highlights. Try to think of more of a something with more color. I don't know. Try to check the values. I think I made a mistake. It's alright, but I think I could change up this a little bit. Those color corrections and hue variations you made on my painting on this one really make a great difference. It really looks a lot more live. Yeah. What makes things so interesting to look at is the difference in the contrast. And as an artist, you need to be able to control you need to be able to control the contrast, and you need to be able to design it in a way that is interesting and is pleasing to the eye. You could have a lot of contrast, and it won't look good. You need to be able to control it. Hue variations are almost everything in painting, I would say. And edges are almost everything, I would say. See, the hue variations are edges. I don't really know, but they're all both very important. Maybe just equally important. Where we could just run with that. You could have a good painting without great like anatomy knowledge, in my opinion, if you're just that good at edges and colors. And notice how like I've communicated so much with just like one color here. You need to be able to design things and need to be able to see these shadows. Like here it was kind of unclear. need to add in those variations later and find what's important. And what's important is the light and shadow difference, at least right now, because it was just lacking here. Yeah, you do see me like adding me like little rendering stuff, but you only need 2 values to show form. And once you have those 2 values established, all your other values will either be close to the light or to the dark, depending on where you are. Well, where you are in the painting, I mean. Let's add some more of that. I mean, to be fair, there are like more... The way I save it, it's kind of not the best. So I do lose a lot of saturation, but even looking at it through my phone and on their Instagram post of the same thing, it's kind of similar. Doesn't really change much. And the same thing applies. This person's structure is okay, but you kind of had a similar thing with the nose with what you had, Edmi. You need to realize that things aren't just like, the planes aren't just like these 2D things. And you need to understand like they have certain directions and things have thickness. In this, I feel like people get so caught up in this shape right here, in the dark spot of the nose, of the nostril. I mean, you need to render out what's around it. I'm gonna add a little bit of variation right here because this is just ambient occlusion from what's around it. Too much. I gotta mess up the portion of the nose, so good. It's okay. Notice how I'm not heavily relying on my color picker, or not color picker, my color wheel thingy, the slider thing. It's good to take colors that are already on the canvas. This keeps things from being too messy and all over the place. Helps a lot. Don't like this color. Oh, this is halftone. This part's getting too dark. It's closer to the shadow than it is to the light, so I'm just gonna lighten it. Or here too. Sometimes simple is more of the way to go. Not everything needs to be crazily rendered. Not everything needs to have all these crazy colors. I used to think that it's not the best way to go about things. Here I'm trying to contrast this is like one of my favorite parts to do it. Contrast this harsh shadow. Frick. Okay, whatever. contrast this hard cast shadow into this soft rounded part of the chin. See how that looks so much better than like having that and maybe having this soft, or having that and having this really hard. It's those like small subtle things that really make things look pretty. And again, notice how I haven't even touched the shadow. Things are working the way it can be. And really, I've only used, let's say, three colors. Yeah, of course I picked in between and stuff, but mainly it was just shadow, and then I just used your basic thing that you already had there. Shadow, light, average shadow, and then I have one more value to lighten things up a bit. Helps a lot to only distill things to, again, something more simple, something more digestible. Probably can just leave it like the shadow like that, but the original painting had some rendering like that and stuff, so I'm assuming the person would want that. Fortunately, they're not here right now, so that's okay. Another thing I would say to always try to draw at least the bust, like there. Like if you look at old Roman sculpture, I freaking it's probably just me, but I don't know. I hate it when it's not there. Portrait bust sculpture. I don't know. Like if you look at every like sculpture, they have at least the shoulders up. Well, maybe not this one. This one's weird. But a lot of them have. It's because it solidifies the head. It's like it's actually on something. If you just have the neck, it's almost like it's just floating. Like this one. It helps a lot with your composition, and it solidifies things a lot better. But I'm not gonna add that in now because just for future things. And here again, shapes. Try to focus on shapes. Because right now you kind of got overwhelmed, or you got too sunken into these more like smaller details. But I just want to show you, like, you don't need all that. You could really not push things. You could simplify things first and then add the small little details. Add this lightness, darkness, and that's all you really need. And then from there you could add on whatever you want, because that's what's important. You need to show the form with just the two values, and then you add in small little details and stuff. This helps keep things very organized. I'm not gonna fully render it, obviously, because I just don't have the time. But at least the start of it. I'm also much more warmed up now, so I'm able to just do things a lot faster. So let's just do that. Notice I'm sticking to big strokes and nothing really too small, because it becomes harder to what's that? To control things when you get really small. And now you could add in those smaller things. Maybe, but not too small. Not yet there with all my rendering and stuff. No, actually, let's save that. Let's just add more different values. What you could do is kind of like put a new layer and do some glow dodge. Find light, shift it a little bit, resaturate. Maybe. Or yellow. Can I use that to start, to jump start? No, it's very orange, and it's like, nah. Maybe hard light. Nah, let's just scrap that idea. Never mind. Take it all back. Sometimes that works. Not right now, it's not. That's okay. Even these like highlights, you could design the shapes very nicely. Here I'm not really looking at the ref anymore. I'm just trying to design things. Not really trying to copy what I'm seeing anymore. So I'm just trying my best to make things look good. Again, I don't want to get too carried away like the last one, but here's a lot. Problem's a lot simpler, so. And again, you could always swatch it back or something. Try to absorb as much information as possible. Now here I could add like maybe small subtle details and stuff. Don't need a lot. Don't need to go overboard. Again, I feel like if I had more time, I could really improve it, but I think it's okay for now. Here, let's add some reflected light, and that'll be the last thing I do. What I like to do, I kind of take a color, like of what's being reflected, and just like lightly put it on. Like here, and notice how much closer this value is to the shadow than it is to the light. Like if I were to take this, look how dark that is, but compared to the thing, it's kind of close. Some light hitting the bottom, chin. Okay, I don't like the color, so I'm gonna shift it more bluish. Maybe? Nah. I think I like that. I think this is fun. Soft edge there. I can add that reflected light for the nose. So I'm just thinking of the form. Where would the reflected light be hitting? And then some deep ambient occlusion for the nostril. Right there. And I'm using a little bit of the reference to tell me, to help me out. And again, you get, of course, these are very simple. I only really have 4 values going on the face. Right. It was the 3 I mentioned earlier. And now the extra one I have for the highlight. Yeah, sometimes simple is always better. Or simple is better. Not always. Sometimes areas of high contrast are what you really need, but in this case, not really. Okay. I think that's fine for now. I got all the points I wanted to get across. Save it before anything happens, Jesus. Separate the neck a little bit from the face. There you go. Perfect. Okay. Next person. I didn't spend as much time as the other person, but I think that it's okay. Their problems were a lot more complex. Okay. Okay, good. Last one. Oh, nice work. Thank you. Thank you, Anna. Oh god. Ah, my shoulder. It's sore and I hate it here. Okay, last one. Orin, I did him last week, but he asked again, so I was like, okay. I mean, this is really good. I really like this one. So I think this one will be really quick. I need the reference. So let me just pull it up. It's really good. I like the hues he added, even though it's a very almost monochrome. Hope your shoulder gets better. It will. It's just sore from exercise yesterday. But thanks for your concern. Sammy, what is wrong? You know you have a crying emoji there. I'm concerned. Okay. Hello. You're drawing? Yeah. Nice you're drawing along with me. I'm probably gonna do my own drawings after this too. I just feel in an artsy mood. Okay, let me think. I like how he has two tags for his Instagram. Here and here. Jesus. Okay. Your second one? Like of all time? Like this week or something? I really like this. Okay. I got it. So, your rendering is really good, but I think you could push a little bit more of the contrast in the values and have a bit more clearer shapes. So right now everything's kind of soft. It's really well done, but it's kind of soft, and your transitions are a bit monotonous. Like they're all just kind of the same. And I think if you were to improve that just a little bit, I can show you. Say whenever. You want to go? Yeah, sure. If you could go to my Instagram, it's still in progress. That's fine. I really don't care. You can find my Instagram. Is it even tagged? You can DM it to me on Insta. I'm pretty sure I have like a link. Did I do that for my Twitch account? If not, I'll just put it into chat. So keep that in mind. Yeah, no problem. You just DM it to me. I'll check it out after this. Okay. Okay, so first thing I would do here to help this piece is kind of try to unify this shape right here under his chin. Because right now it's kind of like, it's kind of hazy or kind of undefined. And then your edges around the shape that you have are all the same. So what I would do here, I really like the hue variation though, it looks really good. But I'm gonna have to knock that out first for a little bit. I'll kind of find this shape on the back of his head, like here. Just define it. Kind of looks odd right now, but it shall help. Just add more clarity. You sent it? Nice. Okay, I'll look at it after this. Just add more clarity on the shape here in the back of the head. This helps with the form, this helps with the read. So that things could look a lot more organized and put together. And then I'll find the edge. Notice how I went from hard to soft on one side? That helps like show form and stuff. So try to first clearly define the shapes that you had. I think right now you're just seeing forms and you're rendering them instead of seeing how they could all connect and seeing how all of them can be put together almost like a jigsaw puzzle. Okay, I just got the message. Again, I'll look at it after this. He has a beard. Okay, now it's kind of like, not like a beard, more like stubble. And I like the little imperfections you put in the face, so it's really nice. But again, if you're gonna have to knock it out for a bit, I'll put it back in. Not gonna lie, I'm not the best at drawing stubble. You probably doing it better than me, but I'll try my best. So I'll leave a little texture like that to indicate the main point is these shapes. Again, I really like the hue variation you put in there. I don't want to lose that. Like these orange, purples, looks really good. So I'll put it back in here. Just for the transition between your skin color and the thing. There. Here though, okay, let's kind of just blur that out. Here, like your neck almost feels like a cutout, right? It doesn't feel like it's going from here's the back of the neck and here's the side and then kind of just stops. It needs to show that it's going back around. How you do that, there would be halftones like here, like around the edge. You could do that, or maybe you could lighten up the middle, but I don't want to lighten it up because this is the neck and not really the main focus. So I want to make sure that its contrast isn't overbearing and it doesn't fight with the face too much. So here, so kind of like the direct light is hitting this area. Here I'm gonna soften it just a little bit, because I don't think it'll be that hard. And here the edges will be much softer. It's the contrast. It's the contrast. How can I indicate the stubble here? I don't really draw people with facial hair a lot. I just realized, mainly because I just draw girls, but still, something like that. So having a very textured edge and more chaotic shape to indicate. Not my best, but you know, it's whatever. Again, it's not my main point. So like how like this subtle halftone is already showing like more form. Like makes it feel like it's wrapping all the way around. That's very important. There's some anatomy stuff here with the something, the neck muscle. I don't know the names. Learning the names of anatomy is kind of, it's kind of whatever. I never really saw the point unless you're gonna be teaching it full time. As long as you know the shape and the forms of it, you're good. Oh, good. And again, notice how I'm working with just 3 values here. I got this dark, and I got this light, and I got the half tone. This muscle's not going to the right spot. There you go. Because it connects to like the middle of your clavicle? Collarbone? Collarbone? Something like that? I'm pretty sure you know what I mean. Right, so notice how I kind of connected your shape here. I made it more clear. And also you were just missing this back shadow. So you needed that. And I want to add that hue variation that you have. So it looks really good. Add it back for your transitions. Help things look lively. And then within these shadows, there's going to be reflected light, which you don't really have. So I kind of just lightly put it in. I take the skin color and I lightly put it in and just kind of color pick it and use that as my color, just to not make things overcomplicated. There, and there should be something like here to show. I think overall this face is like really well done. I don't really know what else to say about it. Maybe now that I look at it a little bit more, you could shift those colors a little bit more into a different realm, because they're kind of looking a little grayish, just a little bit, kind of similar to the last person. I think just shifting it a little bit more yellow. And what I mean by gray, it's not like it's exactly gray, but more like it's the same color like everywhere, same hue everywhere. You need to vary it. Most things will look kind of boring, kind of lifeless. And that's subtle. It's very subtle, but I think it improves it a little bit. And also, what's that? You need to separate the front of the face from the side of the face. Right? Like, you kind of rendered things out like it was a flat plane. And again, you need to think of the big overall thing. So like, you kind of, like if it was a flat plate and then there's bumps on it. That's kind of what you did. And you got it to look really, really good. But you need to realize that the face kind of like, there's depth. Like, it keeps going back. Right? And then there's this side. So learning the planes of the face and knowing that it terminates like here. I'm pretty sure you know that. I can tell. But you need to show that. You need to show the difference between the front and the side. Very, very important. This is what I'm kind of doing with these lighter value here. Again, it's already really good, so improvements will be subtle. His ears looking gray too. So what we can do is kind of like have a color layer and have like a reddish orange, maybe more orange, just a little bit. I'm gonna add that then. Add in like some kind of a little bit more hue variation in there. Let's keep things from looking a little too dull. And yeah, I think that's really it. It's really subtle, but it helps a lot. And then let's add in those little freckles and imperfections that you had. I think those were really nice. Let's see if I have a nice brush for it, or I need to do it manually. Let's do it like this. And then kind of just erase out. Doesn't look natural. Let's that is not the brush for it. I really like what you had. What the hell? Can I like? No, I can't. Okay, whatever. I'll just I'll just leave it. I don't know how you did that. That's really good. I really like that. And I kind of lost it. It's okay though. And last thing, maybe it's some more clarity in the hair. Again, overall, I think it's really good. Just really subtle stuff, but I think they make a nice big impact. Yeah. Okay. And I'll look at yours, Sammy. Some progress. Second portrait ever. Okay. You did tell me that. Yeah, it's already all there, so let's just that. Okay, I think. Okay, some advice I would have, just like overall. The second version, it's still in progress, the hair is hard and stuff. Yeah, it's fine. Hopefully I'll be able to point you in the right direction. But before I even touch anything, if you're like just starting out, I would say try to focus more on the drawing aspect of finding proportions, having good like pen control and stuff. Those are the things that are like all over YouTube. And also remember that having a lot more, doing 100 5-minute sketches than one like 8-hour painting is much more valuable. I'm not saying that like long paintings are not valuable, but especially in the beginning, you need the mileage. You gotta keep like popping out drawings, and it really helps you develop your skills a lot more. And for your second portrait, this is alright. A little quality on the like image. How to be better if it was high res, but it's okay. Can work with this. Okay. 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 First thing I noticed, like immediately, is that your brush is very you're getting really small, and you're working very small. I like how you're working in black and white though. It helps to work in values first when you're beginning. I'll try to clean this up first. Personally, I just like it to be very clean, so that's more of a style choice, but it's nice to have that. And also, the reference you took, you're using is actually very difficult, especially if it's your like second painting or whatever. It's nice to have something with like a lot of strong shadows. So like if I ever find something on my Pinterest, if you need like references and stuff, you could always. Hey John, gotta go. It's past midnight here. Thanks again for your critique. I learned a lot tonight. Yeah, it's cool. I'm glad it helped you a lot. I'm glad. And a good night. Sleep well. Like I do have a Pinterest board and whatnot. Some of them are really hard, but you need if you're starting out, having portraits of that are very strong and that have very strong shadows and cast shadows helps a lot, because trying to comprehend like trying to comprehend like what's going on in these more soft and subtle pictures. They may be really nice pictures, but it'll be really hard to extract them to make them into more of a more of a painting. Something like this. It's very strong, very clear. Everything's very clear. It helps a lot. So, but once you like start getting more comfortable, more advanced, and having like a little more knowledge on how light works, that's when you can get into more faces that are very soft and very less defined, like this person. Like the forms are very soft and subtle. The lighting is very soft, and it'll be very difficult for someone that doesn't have a lot of experience to decipher what's going on. So again, maybe a picture like this, which the lights are very clear and the shadows are very strong. That is a good beginner's habit. And another thing, try to get into the habit into using a very big brush and trying to get things in one go. There's a thing called stroke economy, like to economize the amount of brush strokes you're using. So try to almost like your brush strokes is the amount of money you have, and you don't want to spend a lot of money. So like for example here, like you could visibly see your brush strokes, which is okay. Like you can get that to look good. Like people like John Singer Sargent. This is someone I looked up to a lot. An amazing master. You could count the brush strokes, but they're very confidently put down and very deliberately. I know that he would literally practice like certain areas so that he could get it perfect for the actual painting. So yeah, so how would I apply that to yours? So I would try to economize my strokes and stuff. Try to do as much as possible with as little as possible. And notice how small I'm working, because sometimes you just need to step back. and find things. And another thing is try to work, especially working with little experience. Try to work with a small amount of values. So like, let's focus on just using maybe this dark for the face. Let's try to use like, because everything's so soft, try to just use this value and try to use this value, right? I have two values to show my form. It's not anything too complicated or not anything too overwhelming. Simplicity is very important, and then you go more complex. If you try to overwhelm yourself with all these like subtle things on the face and all the little things, things will be very difficult. And another thing to help you is to learn the anatomy and the plane changes of the face. Here I'm not because you're just starting. I'm not gonna go like, oh, all the little intricate stuff and very advanced stuff. I'm just gonna try to like tell you things that would point you in the right direction. So, because I feel like that's a lot more helpful than just telling you all these advanced, more intricate techniques and stuff. Here you need to focus on the very fundamental stuff. See how I'm like kind of making things a lot more simple. Just working with these two values. And working very big. I'm not working very what's the word? Not working very small, or like working with a very with a lot of like small brush strokes everywhere. I'm not kind of like using something this small and I'm kind of just like scratching around or like messing around with it. I'm trying to use as big as a brush as possible, just to simplify things. Okay, because I see that it's needed, we could add like one more value here to use. And again, just to reiterate, it's much more beneficial to do like a lot of 5-minute paintings than it is to do like a lot of what's that? A lot of, or like just one like long painting. That's not have to go sleep now. Alright, Anna. Alright. Talk to you whenever. And sleep well. My mind's getting kind of tired. God. That's alright. Thanks, no problem. Again, I can try to like tell you all the like intricate more advanced stuff, but that wouldn't be as helpful as telling you like the type of journey that you should be taking. So here I'm just trying to use try to maximize the values that I already set out for myself. I'm trying my best to use them to their fullest potential, right? So this forces me to use more, to be more deliberate with my actions and my shapes and my creation. And right now I feel like you're painting very iconically, like you're painting and drawing what you think an eye is, rather than knowing like the forms and the the subtle things about it. You kind of just like, you're taking, this is a very beginner thing. Like, you're taking an eye. Oh, you're seeing the eye. You see the shape. Oh, there's an eyelid, and then you have the iris, and then you have the bottom lid. I feel like that's what you did. It's very, again, it's a very beginner thing. And there's nothing like really bad about it. Well, there is something bad about it. It's a bad habit, but having that problem in the beginning is not bad at all. So you need to learn what is the forms of the eye. Like, do you know that the eye is a sphere with like things, a blanket, a thick blanket on top? Do you know that there's a plane at the bottom here? Do you know that there's a similar thing that happens here? It's like these type of things they need to learn. That's essential to like painting something that's very nice. And try to use YouTube a lot. YouTube's freaking godsend. It's very helpful. And I don't want to spend on this for too long. Because again, it's very in the beginning, I feel like it's more important to focus on trying to plan out how you're gonna learn than trying to find the little intricate things that you need to work on. Because in the beginning, again, not again, but in the beginning, you just need to learn everything, and you need to plan things out so that you don't get overwhelmed and try not to get so caught up with things. So I would say try to learn very basic stuff, like try to get really comfortable with using your pen or stylus, getting a lot of like drawings in, and then learning basic perspective, learning how to distill like light and shadow, stuff like that. And it helps a lot. Because right now, like, there's a lot to work on, and you need to know what to focus on. You said you needed help with hair, so I'll like, kind of explain. So like right here, you kind of shaded it. Like, what I believe, what trips people up the most is that they think that the shading part of shading is hard. That is not the difficult part. I think I got this from Anthony Jones, Robot Pencil, this explanation, and it helped me a lot personally. Like if you have side A, B, C, most people render things out like this, where it's like, oh, the light's coming from the left. That means everything right here is gonna be shaded. No, that's not how light works. Instead, if it's coming from the top left, it's gonna hit side A, right? And C is gonna have a value. It's not the shading part that's hard. Like anyone could have figured that out. It makes sense. Like where the light is hitting is the side it's gonna hit. But if you don't understand the cube or what you're putting the shading on, that's when it becomes hard. So you need to learn how things work and the structure of them and how things can change, especially for hair. This is why hair is so difficult in the beginning, because it changes all the time. So here, for example, like here, there's a plane like this, just like side A I was like talking about. It'll catch light. Here you kind of just like, again, you kind of just put on along the side. It's not how light works. It's really important to capture things like that. So try to learn. Another thing you could try to learn is like, again, the anatomy, the plane changes of the face, not like specific anatomy, not like muscles and stuff, but plane changes in the face. So if you learn like things like the Asara head, that helps a ton. But again, I would try to learn more things that are more basic and simple, and try to get a lot of mileage in. Because learning how to draw is really hard. It takes a lot of time, but that's what makes it so satisfying. Again, and more simple for now, and then you can make it more complex later. Like again, you're trying to add a lot of things going on in the hair when really you don't need that much to show what's going on. And yeah, okay, I pretty much said out everything I wanted to say while just like adding my own stuff and whatnot. So let's just kind of like compare. So I kind of just clean things up and use more stroke economy, because that helps a lot. Try to think in bigger strokes and bigger and more efficient ways to get down the things that you want. That helps a ton. Oof. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. Thanks. No problem. Well, yeah, I'm glad it will. It was more just like philosophy stuff than in very detailed, intricate stuff. But it's very important to know in the beginning, because I could literally just go on and on and on about what's what you can improve on, because it's so early in your journey. So it's more important to try to encapsulate everything. But for your second portrait, yeah, this is pretty alright. It's not bad.